Alright, I've got one of these Bissell spot cleaners. The hose in it, it's actually got a crack in there. I put some tape on it once, and now it's cracked here, so I'm using it to extract leaks everywhere. So if you have a cleaner like this, you know, spend another $150 on a new vacuum when this one still works, just the hose. Found on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Hose, I think $15. So I can buy a hose $15 or buy a whole new unit for what, $150. So I'll show you how easy to replace. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull the tanks off. That way I don't leak water everywhere. If there's water in them, like that. And I'm going to take this bottom cover off, which is the Phillips screws. Probably work better if I had a flat blade. Alright, so that just pops off. And then once you get that popped off, you'll have a screw here, a screw there. Remove that bottom plate. Alright, next thing I do is get to that hose. Alright, I've got 3 screws on this side. Have your pump right here. You have 2 screws for it. Now these 2 screws are different than the rest. All the rest ones are the same. These 2 have like a built-in washer. This is kind of the fun part. You need to get as much hose as possible. That way you can see it. So the hose is here in the back, but you got to try to stretch as much hose as possible to that area, so you can disconnect this hose to put your new hose on. This needle nose actually has a hose clamp on. You need a needle nose to release that hose clamp. Alright, then you just pull that one out. Now you should probably take your hose clamp off before you do that. Mine popped off inside. Anyway, well, that's your hose clamp. You'll have to take off that hose. Now the fun part is going to be probably fishing that new line, that new hose in there. That new hose has to come in here and around this to the other side. This new hose actually has a little bit longer hose on it, so make it a little bit easier. So we're going to have to fish or feed that through. Hoping I can do it without taking the bottom off. Got it kind of the way through, but it kind of went behind a... Oh, that may work right there. Alright. So this new hose, I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually cut at a taper angle. It made it to feed it through easier, I don't know, but you need to cut it flush because you put this hose clamp on there, you put it on there. If it's cut at a tapered angle, it won't fit on there correctly. So you do need a square cut. So you just put that on there. Put your new hose on your pump. Alright, you probably use some soapy water and put it on there, make it a little bit easier to go on. Put your hose clamp back on it. Alright. Now you put your pump back down there. Okay. So I fed that hose. There's actually a bolt right there. It went behind that bolt, which is actually put the hose in a kink. Let's see if I can get you to see that. So the hose down there is actually in a kink. You can kind of see the black part in the back. If I need to take that off, I should run it on the other side of that bolt hole or screw hole. Otherwise, it ain't gonna let it pump through. One thing that's kind of nice about this new one is that new hose has got plenty of length on it, and I can actually got room to work with. Where the old one I took off, technically I could have just cut it, it'd been a lot easier, but take that back off. Take my hose clamp back off so I don't lose it. Alright, so right there is that the hose went behind it, which is where this clear hose is, which this one does not need to go back there because that's why it's clamped. I need to try to grab it the other way. had a wire or something to stick over there to grab that, it'd be a lot easier. Alright, so I don't know if you've seen that or not, the hose now is on the other side of that bolt hole. So now it shouldn't be crimped whenever I put everything together. Put my hose clamp back on. Put the hose back on the pump. Like I said, don't forget the same 2 screws that came out of that need to go back into it because they have that little bigger head on it. Put your plate back on there. 3 screws back in it. Now this will bolt back onto there. Might inspect, make sure that seal is still good. Make sure you didn't rip it or pull it off when you took this off. Otherwise you'll have a leak right there. Make sure this hose doesn't get in the way of that, so I'm going to tuck that back in there. Make sure you don't kink it. Actually, I'm going to feed some back up into the hose too. Alright, just push that back on. Put your 3 screws back in it. Like I said, here was my old hose originally. Maybe under the tape, it had a crack in it, and it was leaking. I sealed it with tape. Right there, you see that? It just ripped on me. This hose is getting brittle. This one here, this side here had a crack somewhere. It was leaking real bad. So anyway, I'll put a link in the description for the new hose. I'll put a link in the description also for this vacuum cleaner in case you want to buy a vacuum cleaner. If you got a broken hose, I feel why replace the whole thing when all you need is one part. And so hopefully this video helps you, save you some money. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.